whispers, and tonight we are going to be reading about a film that I don't want to say shaped my childhood, but was definitely a favorite movie, and one I reference pretty often, if I'm being honest. I feel like I could make a lot of references to this story. I could repeat a lot of lines from this story, and a lot of my friends and family and people in general will get the reference. And that movie is The Neverending Story. I don't believe there are enough memes that have come from this movie. There are so many to choose from, so many potential memes. Maybe we'll make some after this. So let's read about this. The Neverending Story is a 1984 fantasy film co-written and directed by Wolfgang Petersen in his first English language film, and based on the 1979 novel The Neverending Story by Michael Ende. The film was produced by Bernd Eichinger and Dieter Giesler. It stars Noah Hathaway, Barrett Oliver, Tammy Stronach, Patricia Hayes, Sidney Bromley, Gerald McRaney, Moses Gunn, and Alan Oppenheimer as the voices of both Falkor and Gamork, as well as other characters. The film follows a boy who happens upon a magical book that tells of a young warrior who is given the task of stopping the Nothing, a dark force, from engulfing the wonderland world of Fantasia. At the time of its release, it was the most expensive film produced outside the United States or the Soviet Union. The film was the first in the Neverending Story film series. The film adapts only the first half of the book and consequently does not convey the message of the title as it was portrayed in the novel. The second half of the book was subsequently used as a rough basis for the second film, The Neverending Story 2, The Next Chapter. The third film, The Neverending Story 3, Escape from Fantasia, has an original plot not based on the book. 10-year-old Bastian Bucks is a shy and outcast bibliophile and lives with his widowed father. One day, on his way to school, Bastian is chased by bullies but escapes by hiding in a bookstore, annoying the bookseller, Mr. Coriander. Bastian's interest in books leads him to ask about the one Coriander is reading, but the bookseller advises against reading it, saying that it is not a safe story like regular books. With his curiosity piqued, Bastian secretly takes the book, titled The Neverending Story, leaving a note promising to return it, and hides in the school's attic to read. The book describes the fantasy world of Fantasia slowly being devoured by a malevolent force called the Nothing. The childlike empress who rules Fantasia has fallen ill, and the young warrior Atreyu is tasked to discover a cure, believing that once the empress is well, the Nothing will no longer be a threat. Atreyu is given a medallion called the Auron that can guide and protect him in the quest. As Atreyu sets out, the Nothing summons a vicious and highly intelligent wolf-like creature named Gamork to kill Atreyu. Atreyu's quest directs him to the giant turtle-like advisor, Morla the Ancient One, in the swamps of Sadness. Though the Auron protects Atreyu, his beloved horse Artax is lost to the swamp, and he continues alone. Morla does not have the answers Atreyu seeks, but directs him to the Southern Oracle 10,000 miles distant. Gmork closes in as Atreyu succumbs to exhaustion trying to escape the swamps, but is narrowly saved by the luck dragon Falkor. Falkor takes him to the home of the two gnomes who live near the gates of the Southern Oracle. Atreyu crosses the first gate, but is perplexed when the second gate, a mirror that shows the viewer's true self, reveals a boy which Bastian recognizes as himself. Atreyu eventually meets the Southern Oracle, who tells him that the only way to save the Empress is to find a human child who lives beyond the boundaries of Fantasia to give her a new name. Atreyu and Falkor flee as the Nothing consumes the Southern Oracle. In flight, Atreyu is knocked from Falkor's back into the sea of possibilities, losing the Orin in the process. He wakes on the shore of some abandoned ruins, where he finds several murals depicting his adventure, including one of Gmork. Gmork then reveals himself and explains that Fantasia represents humanity's imagination and is thus without boundaries, while the Nothing is a manifestation of the loss of hopes and dreams. Atreyu battles and kills Gmork as the Nothing begins to consume the ruins. Falkor manages to retrieve the Orin and rescue Atreyu. The two find themselves in a void with only small fragments of Fantasia remaining, fearing that they have failed until they spot the Empress's ivory tower along the fragments. Inside, Atreyu apologizes for failing the Empress, but she assures him that he has succeeded in bringing to her a human child who has been following his quest, Bastian. She further explains that, just as Bastian is following Atreyu's story, others are following Bastian's, making this part of the never-ending story. As the Nothing begins to consume the tower, the Empress explains that Bastian must call out her new name to save Fantasia. However, Bastian, in disbelief that he himself has been incorporated into the story, denies these events as just being a story. He eventually gives in after the Empress pleads directly to Bastian to call out her name and runs to the window of the attic to call out the name he has chosen, Moonchild. Bastian awakes with the Empress, who presents him with a grain of sand, the sole remnant of Fantasia. The Empress tells Bastian that he has the power to bring Fantasia back with his imagination. Bastian recreates Fantasia and flies on Falkor's back to see the land and its inhabitants restored, including Atreyu and Artax. When Falkor asks what his next wish will be, Bastian brings Falkor to the real world to chase down the bullies. In a cliffhanger ending, the film narrates that Bastian had many more wishes and adventures and concludes, but that's another story. Author Michael Ende was initially happy about his book being turned into a film, and worked with Wolfgang Petersen as a script advisor and was paid only $50,000 for the rights to his book. Ende claimed that Petersen later rewrote the script without consulting him and felt that this adaptation content deviated so far from the spirit of his book. Fantastica reappears with no creative force from Bastian that he requested that production either be halted or the film's title be changed. When the producers did neither, he sued them and subsequently lost the case. Ende called the film a gigantic melodrama of kitsch, commerce, plush, and plastic. The adaptation only covered the first half of the book. German producer Bernd Eichinger saw his children reading the book, and they urged him to make a film out of it. He was reluctant to adapt the book, but agreed to do so and acquired the rights to the book. The book of the film was shot at Stage 1 of the Bavaria Studios in Munich, with the street scenes and the school interior in the real world shot in Vancouver, Canada. The Gastown, Vancouver silver steam clock can be seen in the bully chase scene at the end of the film, as the three bullies are chased down Canby Street past the steam clock at the intersection of Water Street, and then on down Blood Alley, and the beach where Atreyu falls, which was filmed at Monsul Beach in San Jose, Almeria, Spain. The film score of The Neverending Story was composed by Klaus Doldinger of the German jazz group Passport. The theme song of the English version of the film was composed by Giorgio Moroder, with lyrics by Keith Forsey, and performed by Christopher Limal Hamill, once the lead singer of Kajagoogoo and Beth Anderson. Released as a single in 1984, it peaked at number 4 on the UK Singles Chart, number 6 on the US Billboard Adult Contemporary Chart, and number 17 on the Billboard Hot 100. The song has been covered by Armonite, The Birthday Massacre, Creamy, Dragonland, Kenji Haga, and Newfound Glory. More recent covers were done by Norwegian synth-pop group Echo Image on their 2001 maxi single Skulk, and by German techno group Scooter on their 2007 album Jumping All Over the World. This Limal song, along with other techno-pop treatments to the soundtrack, is not present in the German version of the film, which features Doldinger's orchestral score exclusively. It was also performed by Dustin and Susie from the television series Stranger Things. In 1994, Italian house music group Clubhouse released the song Nowhere Land featuring Carl, which combines the melody of the tune Bastion's Happy Flight with original lyrics. An official soundtrack album was released featuring Doldinger's score and Moroder's theme tune. Moroder also rescored several scenes for the version released outside Germany. The track listing Doldinger is responsible for everything from track 6 and onwards is as follows: The Neverending Story, Swamps of Sadness, Ivory Tower, Ruined Landscape, Sleepy Dragon, Bastion's Happy Flight, Fantasia, Atreyu's Quest, Theme of Sadness, Atreyu Meets Falcor, Mirror Gate, Southern Oracle, Gamork, Moonchild, Auron, and Happy Flight. The film performed very well at the box office, grossing $100 million worldwide against a production budget of 60 million Deutschmarks, approximately $25 to $27 million at the time. Almost 5 million people went to see it in Germany, a number rarely achieved by German productions, resulting in a gross of about $20 million domestically. It also grossed a similar amount in the United States, only a modest sum in the American market, which director Wolfgang Petersen ascribed to the film's European sensibilities. The film has a Rotten Tomatoes score of 80%, based on reviews from 41 critics. The site's critical consensus reads, "A magical journey about the power of a young boy's imagination to save a dying fantasy land. The Neverending Story remains a much-loved kids' adventure." Metacritic gives the film a score of 46 out of 100, based on reviews from 10 critics, indicating mixed or average reviews. Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times gave it 3 out of 4 stars and praised its visual effects, saying that an entirely new world has been created because of them, a comment echoed by Variety. Ebert's co-host Gene Siskel said that the film's special effects and art direction were cheap-looking and that Falcor the Luck Dragon resembled the sort of stuffed toy you'd win at a county fair and throw out when you left. He also referred to Noah Hathaway as a dullard and said that the film was much too long, even after Ebert pointed out that the film was only 90 minutes long. Joshua Tyler of Cinema Blend referred to it as one of a scant few true fantasy masterpieces. Vincent Canby penned was a graceless, humorless fantasy for children in a 1984 review, The New York Times. Canby's criticism charged that parts of the film sounded like the pre-teenager's guide to existentialism. He further criticized the tacky special effects and that the construction of the dragon looked like an impractical bath mat. Colin Greenland reviewed The Neverending Story for Imagine magazine and stated that perhaps the heroic quest of young Atreyu to save the land of Fantasia from the all-consuming nothing might have been more convincing if it hadn't been so clumsily edited. The film was released by Warner Brothers on Laserdisc with a digital stereo soundtrack in 1985. A widescreen Laserdisc was released on August 28, 1991. No special features were included. The Region 1 DVD was first released in 2001 by Warner Brothers, containing only the North American release of the film. The only audio option is a 2.0 stereo mix in either English or Spanish. The theatrical trailer is the lone extra feature presented. There is also a quite lavish 2003 European version, which is a 2-disc special edition with packaging shaped like the book from the film, and containing both the North American and German releases of the film. Various extras, such as a 45-minute documentary, music video, and galleries are presented on the second disc. However, there is no English audio for the German version of the film. This edition has gone out of print. The standard single-disc edition is also available for the Region 2 market. A Dutch import has also appeared on the internet in various places, which not only contains the North American release of the film, but also includes a remastered DTS surrounded soundtrack, which is not found in either the German or the Region 1 releases. In 2008, Czech and Slovak language DVD versions appeared in the Czech Republic and Slovakia. The first Blu-ray release was a region-free Dutch edition on March 24, 2007. On March 2nd, 2010, Warner released a Region A Blu-ray edition of the film. The disc includes a lossless DTS HD Master Audio 5.1 surround track, which marks the first time a 5.1 surround track has been included in a US home video version of the film. No special features or theatrical trailer are included. Recent German releases feature the original Klaus Doldinger soundtrack with the original English audio track. On October 7th, 2014, a 30th anniversary edition Blu-ray was released, which duplicates the DTS surround track of its predecessor, originally described as a newly remastered version of the film. Warner released a statement indicating that the only remastered version is the Neverending Story 2, while not elaborating further on this current US release. The 30th anniversary edition contains the original theatrical trailer, a commentary track by director Wolfgang Petersen, documentaries and interviews from both 1984 and 2014, and a German-language English subtitled feature detailing the digital restoration process of the film. In popular culture, in the Simpsons episode New Kid on the Block, Lionel Hutz claims to have filed a suit against the film for fraudulent advertising. Korn's album The Nothing is named directly in reference to the nothing in the film. Korn frontman Jonathan Davis chose the title as he was still struggling with the death of his estranged wife, Devin Davis. Jonathan had said, "I was struggling with the thing that's chasing me, that's always freaking with me. I tried to give it a name and it just fit." In 2019, the theme song for the film was incorporated into the final episode of the third season of the science fiction thriller show Stranger Things, which takes place in 1985. Further status as a staple of 1980s pop culture. After the episode was aired, the internet paid streams for the original theme songs went from 300,000 to 1.5 million downloads a month. In 2009, Warner Brothers, the Kennedy Marshall Company, and Leonardo DiCaprio's Appian Way Productions were in the early stages of creating another adaptation of N's novel. They intended to examine the more nuanced details of the book rather than remake the original film by Peterson. In 2011, producer Kathleen Kennedy said that problems securing the rights to the story may mean that a second adaptation is not meant to be. And that is the end of the article, with the exception of references. That was nice revisiting it. I should have said there were spoilers, I suppose, for those who have not seen it, since the entire initial description of the movie was, in fact, the entire movie. So, I apologize. Perhaps I'll put spoilers on the thumbnail, even though it's a almost 40-year-old movie. And I would probably see a sequel. I mean, a remake by DiCaprio and company. I saw the second one. I saw the third one. I like the first one. I'll put it that way. The sequels were okay. I'm going to go to sleep, and you do the same. I will talk to you tomorrow.